So I'm going to try and mix up the topics a little bit and give a little bit of a spicy take today. So I'm talking about mercenary capital in DeFi and why it's not good for our ecosystem. So the TLDR of my presentation is that I think DeFi is not living up to its promises. More than 90% of the TVL in DeFi is from funds and whales. A lot of it is bribed to be where it is. Leverage looping strategies are just moving the same money around. There's not real value being created. It's not real usage in a lot of these protocols. And much of DeFi is just rebranded TradFi products and many of the same products that led to the crisis in 2008, which is ironic given the origins of Bitcoin and Satoshi explicitly referencing the 2008 crisis in the launch of Bitcoin. So what all this means is I think I'm disappointed, and I think we can do a better job in DeFi and live up to the values that we are supposedly supposed to espouse. And just a little bit about me briefly before I get into the content of my presentation. I started my career in TradFi. I saw how banks and the world's largest financial institutions run their businesses, and that's what attracted me to crypto in the first place. I figured there's got to be a better way to do this. Been in crypto full-time about 5 years now, and before that was investing, playing since 2016. Before I started this company, RockSolid, I was COO, CFO at an alt L1. And started this company, started in DeFi because I had idealistic goals, and I guess believed the marketing material that you read about DeFi empowering and exclusivity and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I have to say that idealism was shattered pretty quickly once I became a DeFi founder and saw how the sausage was made, saw what was happening under the hood. Probably for a lot of people in the room right now, a lot of this isn't a secret. But as an optimistic and idealistic, perhaps you could say naive DeFi user from the outside looking in, a lot of this stuff wasn't obvious to me at the time. So I just want to talk about this a bit more openly and hope that that means that we can do better as an industry. So the first big dirty secret is that over 90% of the TVL in many protocols, especially new protocols, is mercenary capital. And I delineate that between two types of mercenary capital. The first are yield farmers. Now, these are typically retail users. They go where the incentives are, and once those incentives stop, they dump their tokens and move on to the next shiny thing. Now, this is obvious. People have been talking about this for years, since DeFi summer. But perhaps I think the more problematic category of mercenary capital are funds and whales. So these are people who negotiate private deals with new DeFi protocols. They get better rates, better terms than what retail are able to access, and essentially get bribed to park their capital where people pay them to. These are typically, funds and whales, as I said. And I think that's arguably worse for the crypto ethos because of the kind of backroom, smoky room sort of deal nature of this arrangement, where they're getting access to opportunities that aren't available to retail. And let me just provide a real example to add some color. Had this conversation, 20 times now, but when we started our protocol, a friend of mine, a fellow founder, said, "Oh, you should talk to XYZ crypto famous person that everyone in this room would know or know of. Talk to them. They've got tens of millions of dollars. They'll park it in your protocol. You've just got to throw them a bunch of tokens, and it'll make your metrics look great." Had this conversation many times about many different people. But this is how protocols bootstrap their liquidity. And I want to caveat all this by saying, this is capitalism. Capitalism is good. I'm not opposed to people who have capital, deploying that capital to earn returns and using their negotiating power to secure better returns for themselves. That's how the world works. And indeed, there is a positive role for this in bootstrapping liquidity. Like, protocols need to be able to demonstrate that they have liquidity locked up. Users trust them. That makes retail more likely to access their protocol. And every DeFi protocol does this. Like, we've had these conversations. We'll likely need to do this as well. But what troubles me about this situation is the lack of transparency and the hypocrisy. This isn't real TVL. These aren't real users. You are literally bribing money to go on your platform to inflate your metrics. And everyone does this. Everyone kind of knows it, but people don't say it out loud. So I'm trying to say it out loud. And much of what DeFi is doing is just kind of repackaged trends that have already existed in Web 2 for a long time. So, we talk about bootstrapping liquidity. Like, let's be real, what is that? That's paying users to use your product. It kind of sounds dirty, but I mean, Web2's been doing it for a long time. If you remember back to the early days of a lot of these two-sided marketplaces, Uber, DoorDash, whatever, there'd be someone at the train station handing out a coupon. Hey, here's a $20 voucher to try our product. Here's $50 to refer a friend to Airbnb. But what is that? That's companies paying users and using VC money effectively to underwrite that. We do the same thing in our industry, but we do it with tokens. And yeah, we talk about these governance tokens to align incentives. Like, I mean, what does that actually mean? Or what is that in practice? It's early liquidity for VCs and founders to dump on retail. Again, I'm glad that the meta is kind of shifted and people are talking about this now. But yeah, it just leads to a bunch of bad incentives. With a typical startup, you'd have to wait for 10 years to get a liquidity event, IPO, or get acquired. Now with magic internet money, you can have a token in a month, and as a founder, sell your tokens and make millions of dollars straight away. And obviously that leads to a bunch of bad incentives. And then finally, decentralization. Everything's decentralized. Everyone wants to be decentralized. Everyone engages in decentralization theater because we're supposed to care about that in our industry. But again, when you look under the hood, there's a small group of funds that control all the money, control the purse strings. There's a small group of people at the founding team. You know, there might be a foundation, look how decentralized we are, but you know, everyone knows in reality it's 1-2 people that make all the decisions. So, you know, there's no decentralization. And I mean, what's the problem with all of this? I sort of delineate these problems into philosophical and practical. Philosophically, I think the thing that bothers me most is the hypocrisy. You know, we talk about this decentralization, but that just doesn't map to reality at all. There's the issue with the fact that there's these kingmakers behind the scenes, controlling the purse strings who are allocating capital. But yeah, most problematically, I would say that it's the hidden nature of these deals, as I said, that retail doesn't get access to this. And we talk the talk about, look at this open, inclusive financial system that we're building. But in reality, it's, oh, hey, Mr. Crypto Whale, I'm going to give you a sweetheart deal, which is better than what retail gets access to. And then practically, I mean, we all know that this is short-term and unsustainable. Once these incentives end, you know, the party stops. We all know that people move to the next shiny thing once that happens and TVL drops off a cliff. But I think more importantly, it undermines the credibility of our industry. Like, we're all in this industry presumably because we care about its values and we want to bring new people on board. But by undermining this narrative and creating distrust, you know, retail isn't coming to the party anymore. And I would say rightly so, because folks have sort of figured out, yeah, what's really going on under the surface. And yeah, what I'd sort of argue is that we've recreated a lot of the same TradFi structures that crypto was ostensibly created to alleviate. You know, it was a meme in early Bitcoin that, oh, there's these big global financial institutions controlling the currency system, inflating the money supply, blah, blah, blah. Or there's this cabal of global financiers that are pulling the strings behind the scenes. Yeah, we've recreated the same things in crypto. It's a different set of people. It's a different set of funds. But it's, you know, crypto whales and participants of the Ethereum ICO that are pulling the strings behind the scenes. Again, no one sort of says this out loud, but that's just the reality on the ground. That's a bit uncomfortable. And I guess, like, why should we care about any of this? Why am I even giving this presentation today? The first reason is I think we should live up to the values that we supposedly hold. The values of inclusion, decentralization, opportunity, and giving that opportunity to retail. We should have better discipline to build better products that have real product market fit, real revenue, and real users, not users that you have to bribe to be there. And we need to give retail opportunities, access to the upside. TVL has stagnated across cycles because, as I said, retail isn't coming to the party. Retail has kind of figured out a lot of this is a scam. And if that sort of perception exists, then the growth of our industry will stagnate. And so what can be done about it? I think there's a handful of things that can be done. The first is that we need more transparency and honesty, not the hypocrisy that we see today. We need to empower real decentralized communities, not just those that are engaging in decentralization theater. We need to build sustainable revenue models and give retail access to the upside that a lot of these private backroom deals are engineering. And we need thoughtful tokenomics or no tokenomics at all, no token at all, and build stuff that people will actually use without a bribe, because tokens just give us this kind of easy way out to print magic internet money and band-aid over a lot of the fundamental problems, either with our industry or with our individual products. So yeah, we need to do this. And the brief shill for the project that we're working on, RockSolid, is we're building a yield vault that we think lives up to these values. We're honest and transparent about what we're doing, the strategies we're employing, and we're transparent about the incentives as well. We're prioritizing providing this product to communities that haven't had access to these types of opportunities before, and particularly the most decentralized and Ethereum-aligned communities, because we think that by having a strong base layer of Ethereum, that grows the pie for everyone. And finally, we're negotiating these deals, these private backroom deals that are done in places like Dubai, at conferences like this. We're negotiating them, but then giving retail access to them, so that there's upside and reasons for retail to participate in the system. And yeah, just a little bit about our project, RockSolid Yield Vaults. As I said, we're still in stealth, but we'll be launching in a few months. So follow us on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. You can scan that QR code there. Yeah, and we've got a multi-billion-dollar partnership that we'll be announcing in the next few weeks. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, hopefully that we can build a better DeFi ecosystem together.